Hey there, folks. It's time to start our program, and let's find out who's happy today. Let's start with happy dollars. Do I have any? Oh, good, David.
Good. This is my first happy dollar
Ever?
ever.
Oh.
And it's going to be for $10. And it's going to be for $10. I was going through my mail yesterday, and there was a publication from the community partners, and it honored a number of on the shore that have given a lot to the shore. And Bill Payne.
Hey. There you go. I didn't know about that.
And there's
This is Citizens for Better Eastern Shore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought you about that 2 weeks ago.
I didn't find it.
No, well, here's the
Let David finish.
here's the issue though. Everybody had their picture, like your partner had his picture there and all these pictures. The only one that didn't have a picture, and I know he's shy,
I know.
was Bill Payne.
Oh, good.
But he was being honored and
Well, yes, and deservedly so. So bravo. Let's have a round of applause for Bill. Thank you. And thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you, David. Who else is happy today? Good, Bill.
I'm happy to the tune of $20.
Whoa.
My Jackie is back. Oh, I didn't have to pay though.
You don't have to pay?
It's in my bill. It's coming in my bill.
Yeah. That's not writing it down.
Hey, Bill, ask her if she'll learn your fund. $30. I was gonna be, I got a tip for Bill, but I don't know a nicer guy, better guy to do things than Bill Payne. I mean, honestly, he knows.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I with you.
And I went to South Carolina and saw 6 of my 12 grandchildren, 2 different grandchildren. Went to Clemson and flew and didn't get accosted by the authorities or anything. I was in pretty good behavior. Got put in my little box. They were great. But are there any tech graduates in here, Virginia Tech graduates?
Murphy.
Well, I know Murphy, but I'm really sorry about none. I got $10 more. Not only do I have 2 kids going to architects camp and engineer camp at Tech this summer for a week. My second oldest grandson, who was South Carolina, got accepted to the Tech. And he is a birdist. The other one's name is not birdist, so I think he snuck him in, but he in the engineering school and the music competition school. And I don't know how you do that. He's like third in his class with 800, so I'm not sure he's even related to me. I have no idea. But he's going to Tech, and my roommate down the hall is Ben Holland, who's Jeff's son, who played at Tech, and he's going to make me wear Tech clothes all the time. It would be, if you were a Tech graduate, a birdist getting in there would certainly devalue your diploma. I think. I can't wait to tell Murphy will love this.
John, how much was your total? 30?
Did I get 5 from you too?
Yeah.
5
$35.
I'll build more than you do.
You got enough to go around.
Anyone else, lady? Good, Walter, and welcome.
Thank you. I've got 5 happy dollars here. If Rick Hubbard were here today, he would give happy dollar because his grandson placed 6th in the state wrestling tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Rick is not here today because he's at a board meeting at the hospital.
Okay.
Second reason I'm happy is many of you remember Mary Yu.
Yeah.
I spoke with her on the phone about a half an hour ago, and she's doing great and sends you all her warmest regards.
Where is she now?
She's working for
Plano.
Vanguard, and she's across the bay.
Oh, no, Plano, Texas.
Oh, is that right?
Plano.
Well, I talked with her from wherever that was.
Oh, you got cell phone service in. No.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Well, yeah, I think we overlooked you, but not for long, never for long.
Announcement. I'm happy. Today is Fat Tuesday, so Cateville United Methodist Church is having a pancake supper tonight from 5 to 7. $10 a person. So if you're interested in me holding tickets for you, let me know before you leave here today.
Sorry, which church again?
Cateville,
Cateville.
United Methodist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is great. Oh, United Methodist. I'm sorry, Cateville United Methodist. Ah, very good. All right. Shrove Tuesday. Yes.
I'll do $10. I'm just not, yeah, I guess they're happy. They're in memory of. If for those who may have heard, Jim Rowe passed away. He used to be a member of our club. And one of the traditions that we did, I think twice while he was here as a member, is we picked sand dollars for Christmas ornaments down at his property. And I just thought he was a lovely man, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that he has passed.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Anything else? Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. Come. Yep.
Bill Payne.
Boy,
I was coming out of the post office last week. And guy say, I think you should be honored. I want you to have some honors. I said, don't you give me anything before you give it to Bill Payne. Yeah, I'll never do what he's done.
Bravo.
Okay, you can stop now, Tom. Stop, Tom.
He got me out of $1,000. He knew the cost. He didn't get it, man. Search.
See how many hearts and wallets you've touched in your career.
Especially the wallet.
Well, I don't usually give a lot of money.
So how many, 50 cents?
Yeah. I'm gonna give $20. Because I'm so glad to be back home. And I'm never gonna babysit a child again. I told my son and his wife, I will be back when the baby turns 5.
Very good, very good. All right, well, thank you all for that. That was an unusually pleasant and generous round. We have some announcements, and I think I'm going to start with Bill.
Yes.
Bill Payne.
Everyone will recall that about 3 weeks ago, Gary Anderson from All District Reads was here, and our club contributed $4,000 to buying 1,000 books for our county. Next Tuesday, right after our meeting at 2 o'clock at the central office in Manchapongo, we're going to put stickers inside the cover of those books, recognizing the Rotary and the Education Foundation for their support of the program. And the stickers won't go in by themselves. So we need volunteers to join me and hopefully Jackie and Bill and Tom's already, and there's another hand, Ken and Stanley. So we've got about 4 or 5 people. Probably if we have 2 or 3 more, we can knock it out in an hour and a half. So I'll get another email out to remind you, but it's when? Next
Tuesday, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, where?
Manchapongo.
At the central office. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so that's Tuesday. I'm going to circulate this sign-up sheet.
Central.
Tuesday, February 28th at 2 p.m. Did you say?
Yep.
Okay. And how many
Jim,
people do you think we need?
Jim,
Yep.
you can put my name on the sign-up sheet.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
Oh, she's gonna sit in the corner with a double mask.
No, it's all right. I mean, just this disembodied voice all of a sudden. That's great. I'm delighted. I'm delighted. And Diane, good hello to you. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Diane Dawson's name is the first one on this list. And I don't know how many do you think we need?
I think we've got him now. Stanley, Bill, Mark.
Really?
Mark raises.
All right, well,
Tom, yeah.
put your names on this sheet as it goes around. Now, by the way, for those of you who wonder what these sign-up sheets are for, They are for signing up. Last week, I sent one around, it got through 2 people, they put it down, and it never went around. So as a result, we need at least one person to help with Habitat Humanity and the parking this Friday. It's from, I'm sorry, I think 3:30 to 6. Party starts at 4?
30.
Starts at 4.
30. No, it starts at 4:30 to 8:30.
Okay, so forgive me, we're just asking the people show up a little bit early, so. So it's from 4:15 to what, 6:30 roughly. And what's gonna happen is the party's gonna be right here at the brewery. Well, actually, it's gonna be right here at the brewery, but parking is gonna be over there. So really, our role is to try and catch people's attention and just direct them to the parking over there. So it's easy duty. We've done a lot of projects like this before, and I hope, if nothing else, please keep this moving. Thank you.
Signing up.
Sorry. All right. Is there anything else for the good of the order? If not, we're going to move from high-minded stuff to gambling. So I think it's time. I actually had some cards, but they amounted to nothing. So good. Oh my. All right. Everyone hold up their highest card, please. Wow, we got a queen of spades, but she's sitting next to the ace of clubs.
Oh my God. I call it game.
Give me
Third
that
time,
money.
third
Give
time.
me that money.
Okay, the money is $9. No, I'm not gonna have Paul calling me up, no. All right, I win the pot.
Yeah.
Oh, and I get to pull a card.
You draw the queen. Oh, I hold the cards.
Couple.
Verify.
We don't sleep.
Dip in the ocean. or no?
Yeah.
Mary's gonna dive into the bay.
Yeah.
Gonna watch it. It's part of the experience of.
7 of spades.
Okay.
All right.
So we tear up the
She's
seven
very
of
happy.
Let's
spades.
turn the 7 of spades. I don't know if we should trust you with that, but that's all right. That's all right.
I don't know why, just because I win, I have a good.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
If
All
fingers-
right.
Then fingers telling the truth.
Yeah, oh what? Oh,
As you all know, we gave, the club gave $1,000 to, $1,000 each to 2 charities, one to help with relief efforts for the war in Ukraine, and another to help with the relief efforts in Turkey. And it actually, it was a little harder to do than we anticipated. And you would think to give $1,000, it would go pretty smoothly. Poor Paul found out that you could only transfer the money by credit card or by some sort of a bank check. So he went to the bank, found out it would take 2 weeks to get, not necessarily their end, but to get it delivered to Prague, where it needed to go. And so he opted to come back, put it on his personal credit card. And so we'll see how much we actually owe when we see the exchange rates.
Yeah.
But I say that because there's a parallel with the story to be told by our speaker, Mark Tillotson, who worked for the federal government for about, did you say 45 years?
35.
35 of 45-year career. And he's an engineer by training, retired here in 2020, already participating on the Bay Creek Property Owners Association Board of Directors. And he's here today because he started a little charitable collection to help with the relief efforts in Turkey. And he's here to tell us that story, not just about how what a good thing it is to do and how needed it is, but how hard it is to have an impact. Mark Tillotson, thank you.
I'm Mark Tillotson, live in the Hollies in Bay Creek. We live on Blue Heaven Road, very end there, and we've loved being here. I hate to have a speaker start with a disclaimer, but I'm going to have to start with a disclaimer. Jim mentioned I was in the military, and I got to spend 3 tours overseas. Spent 1 in Germany, 1 in Turkey, and 1 in Japan. And they were fantastic opportunities to travel the world, meet different people from different cultures, spend a lot of time. But the disclaimer is I left Turkey 35 years ago. Turkey is a pretty closed society these days. And while we loved our experience in Turkey, probably our favorite assignment of any, it has changed quite a lot. So the only thing I know of current day Turkey is either from reading The Economist, which is a British publication, which gives a lot of international information, but we find it very helpful, or from talking to friends who are Turks. Typically they're expats, meaning they're from Turkey but have become US citizens, but they go back regularly. And so they'll tell us. But if they become a US citizen, they certainly have an attitude and opinion on that too. So Jim asked me to come up here and talk about it. The talk can be very quick, and then I'll open it up for questions if you have any. The way it got started, as I say, we spent some time in Turkey, and having loved our experience there, when we came back to the States, we found that we would collect Turkish friends. And so we lived in the DC area, and there were a lot of folks that we met up there, and from either Turkish restaurants or in the community, working, an opportunity to meet Turks. And we've just maintained that network ever since. So when the earthquake hit, now this is the second, third, and they've had multiple since. There was another one back in '99 in Turkey. Now, I will also say that when I was in Turkey, I never experienced an earthquake. When I was in Japan, I experienced 2 earthquakes. So, and then being in Virginia, I was in Northern Virginia, experienced one that hit here in, what was that, 2011, something like that. But so knowing the devastation in the area, we called up our friends and asked how we could help. And they said they're in desperate need of winter jackets, blankets, warm clothing, any of that. So we thought Joan is such an inspiration to all of us and helps us with communication so much. I sent Joan a note and said, Joan, can we put a word out, see if anybody else wants to help contribute? We're going to go up there and deliver all this stuff to Turkish Embassy. She did put it out, and I thank you, Joan. And as Jim said, we moved here in 2019, built a home, moved into Bay Creek in 2020. So we were come-heres. My wife and I just absolutely love this community, and it is so warm and caring. And we got 7 boxes and 17 bags of stuff. It was just phenomenal. Now, the reason this is really a short story is because last week we were talking to our friend up there who turned us on to this, and he said he's having trouble getting into the Turkish embassy. He is Turkish, and he's having trouble getting in. So we called the embassy, and we got the message that they are overwhelmed. They're not organized to do this. And so please cease and desist with bringing stuff up there. Now, when the Afghanis came back, when we brought the Afghans back from Afghanistan at the end of the war. They were spread out, and one group of Afghanistanis went to Fort Pickett here in Virginia. So we collected up some stuff then, and we took it over to Fort Pickett. Now, at Fort Pickett, there was a room probably 4 times the size of this room that was filled from floor to ceiling with stuff. Now, being a military installation, you have a lot of wives clubs and a lot of soldiers and a lot of folks that can jump in. So there must have been 200 people working this, and all they were doing to do was divvy out this stuff to the folks that were there. It was much easier than trying to take it to a Turkish embassy, flying it to Turkey, and then distributing it over there. So I can understand how difficult this is. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take the stuff that has been donated and we're going to drop it off at military installation thrift saving or thrift shops. We're going to take some over to Little Creek and drop it off there probably tomorrow. Then we'll take some up next week and drop it off at Belmore, because a lot of this stuff finds its way to things like this, these needs. So we're going to do that. And so again, for anybody that did contribute, I want to thank you. It's been really nice. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll open it up to any questions you might have, is as an engineer, talked about the destruction. I mentioned we sat through 2 earthquakes when we were in Japan, and those earthquakes didn't cause any damage. The destruction in Syria and Turkey has been severe. The reason why is because of the building industry itself. First of all, it's a poor region, and they use a lot of natural bricks and material to build houses and buildings with. But that said, there's a thing in Turkey called bakshish, which is a price you have to pay to do work. And so you have in the industry, Turks would even try to give me as a American military officer, trying to give me money, possessions, anything to let them do the work. Okay, when I was over there, it was hard enough to get construction workers, and we're doing big construction projects, into shoes, much less safety boots. Could never get them to wear a hard hat. Couldn't get them to wear the right clothes. And that's just the way they do things. And so, and then they would come back and they want to slip you a $20 bill so that they could walk around in their slippers, and they say you can't do that. So the boxes exist, and it affects the construction industry. So they've had buildings built in Antakya that were finished in 2019, 2020 that have fallen down because the construction industry does not regulate themselves. And their professors there will tell you, if they would follow the codes and do it right, we wouldn't have this much death and destruction. That's the society in Turkey. They're great people, love them to death, but they cause their own problems in doing that. So construction is an issue over there, and it has caused a problem. The last thing I'll mention was they had an earthquake in Turkey in 99. And then in 2002, Erdogan came to power and has been there. And they've been taxing Turks since about 2004. It's called an earthquake tax to take care of people. When this thing hit, to our knowledge, none of that money is there. And so you kind of wonder where it is. I don't know for a fact. I've just not read anything, not heard anything, and you would think that would be front and center. So going back to the bakshish and the lack of regulation, Erdogan was a developer. He took over as mayor of Istanbul before becoming president. And has been an autocrat and has assumed power. They're still Democratic. They are going to have elections this next year. So we'll see what they say. But he has certainly taken the reins from our friends. They say when they go over there, the police in the city are so tight on folks that people walk by with their heads down just so that they don't have to look somebody in the eye and afraid of being arrested and beaten. So that's the current situation over there. So like I said, we love Turkey. You know, there's so much there. I used to say that all of life started there. You know, it didn't. I'm now reading about Egypt and much older dynasty, but you know, you've got things like Mount Ararat, you know, where the Ark landed. You got Tarsus, where Paul was from. You got Antakya or Antioch, you know, which is you've got Ephesus, and you've got Cappadocia, which is the underground cave the Christians went to. You know, you've got so much history there, and that's just the Christian side. And then, of course, you know, Turkey is the most Muslim country in the world, and you've got all sorts of Muslim sites and relics there. So I mean, it is just a fascinating country. It's a lot of history and a lot of culture, and we loved it there. Jim said I had 20 minutes. I don't know if I can even talk that long. But let me. That's how we got started. Let me just open it up, see if you have any questions.
Are there Rotary clubs in Turkey?
Not that I know of. I don't know of any.
So have the construction problems gotten and the payouts gotten worse since it's becoming more closed society, or?
Probably not any worse. I mean, it's always been there. It's always existed. Story was this guy wanted to go get his driver's license. Got to get a Turkish driver's license. And the guy said, "Okay, give me $100 and a bottle of bourbon. I'll go get it for you." I said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it right." So I said, "Okay." So his driver drove him down to the building. He walked in. They gave him a stack of paperwork, about an inch and a half high. Said, "Go fill this out. Come back in 2 weeks." So he went home, filled it out. 2 weeks, he came back, handed it to him. They gave him another stack of paperwork. He filled that out. Then he had to go get a physical to include the station that the women go to, and he had to go to that station. And then he came back the fourth time. They gave him another stack of paperwork. He went home, wrote a check for $100, bought a bottle of bourbon, had his driver's license the next day. That's the system. And this was back when I was there, back in 87 to 89, 88, 86 to 88. And it was that way then. It's the same today. And it's not just in Turkey. I mean, it is predominant in the Middle East and the Far East. But we have it here in the United States too. It's just, we fortunately have regulators that come around and inspect and regulate and hold people to standard. So here.
That's my question. A few years ago, I was working with some Christians, and they had been to the 7 churches, and we were studying about Paul, and some of them had to risk their lives to try to espouse the Christian religion, and the Muslims were so mad that they were killed. And so I realized that they went to those churches. They worked so hard to bring Christianity there, only to realize by now they're back Muslim. Is that so?
Yeah. This is more from history rather than religion, but you mentioned the 7 churches, Revelations, they're there, Ephesus. Paul spent some time there, and then from historical documents, they have a large They had a large group of Jewish Christians, right there in Ephesus. You remember Muhammad came then later, about 1,000 years later, and then that's really spread, and it spread both, from Saudi Arabia around northern Africa and then back up, and it has been a very strong religion in the country. When I was there, you could be a Christian, and they had Christian churches, but you couldn't proselytize or you'd be arrested. Now it's gotten more, in many ways, more radical. So if you were out talking about it, I can imagine you'd be getting beaten up in today's society. So that's, I mentioned, today's society, how Turks that are Muslims walk around with their heads down. If you're a non-Turk and non-Muslim, then you would definitely be in the minority, be called out, so.
So the preachers over here got it made.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? I would like to thank you, and I'm just walking over here to grab a sample, and the club has made a donation to the Literacy Council, which gives books like this away to 5-year-olds actually who've completed the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, another program that they run, and your name will be on a label on the inside, and to acknowledge your service today. And thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, thank you. And now, if everyone would rise for the Rotary Pledge. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and benefits? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And stand. Will we have fun? Yeah. Go in service, gentlemen. Very good.
Jackie, on the Happy Dollar, you were keeping.
Hold on.